What's happening, everybody? Welcome back. This is Forgo, and today I want to give you guys my thoughts on these patch notes. I know I'm a little late to the party, but I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on these because there's some interesting details as far as, what we're going to be getting in this update, some changes that, some of us were kind of hoping for, and then again, maybe some of us were not hoping for, but we are getting M'Baku, which is actually really great. And from the stream that we saw, he is not going to be getting a transcendent skill, although maybe in the mid-month patch, he will be getting one. Right now, he doesn't have a transcendent or a tier 3. However, hopefully he will get one. And the cool thing is about this character is he is going to be a bio selector character, which isn't something we don't really want to hear, but you are going to be able to acquire him from the legendary battle, which is terrific. So everybody's going to be able to get M'Baku. Plus we have a tier 4 for Namor. I know they say Namor in the movie, but I don't like the way they pronounce it. That's not correct. It's Namor. And then we have Shuri, tier 3 for Shuri. And then we have Riri Williams, the transcendent for her, and for Moon Girl, which is actually pretty cool. We got legendary battle coming on. We have an addition of more cards, like a different card select that we can actually use, which is pretty cool. So currently right now in the game, we have 5 cards that we have equipped that apply to all our characters in the game. And we're actually going to be able to apply a different set of 5 cards to all of our characters. And I'll talk more about that later on, but I think that's actually really, really great. I know some players won't like it, but I think after you hear how I feel about it and the reasons why I like it, you might think you might be okay, at least from my standpoint. And then we are going to have the reforging of a CTP of refinement and a rage. So finally, we're getting the reforged rage. Now, some players are not going to, obviously they're not going to like that at all. They don't get into reforging, and I can't blame them one bit because it's godly expensive. However, when you're ABL, ABX competitive, and I am somewhat competitive when it comes to that, it will be a godsend. I mean, Hulk is actually going to get nerfed in this update. By how much, I don't really know. But that rage is numero uno on him. Well, I mean, actually, the brilliancy of destruction actually does more damage. But the rage really is godly on the character. Hopefully, he doesn't get nerfed too bad, but we'll see. And then we got M'Baku, who is a combat superhero male, right? And again, you guys can get him through the biometrics, right? He does have a nice leadership, 30% increase in physical attack. And this is why I hope he gets a tier 3 or transcendent skill later on, because he's got a really great leadership. But then his passive that applies to all allies, guys. So for all physical characters, especially on a combat team, for hero and our requirements for World Boss Legend, he's going to be so good, even for ABX, because he increases basic damage to supervillains by 45%. And when it comes to War Boss Legend, he's actually going to decrease basic damage also. That is great for survivability. So even if he's a bad character and they give him a transcendent tier 3, he's going to be worth building up because he's going to be a very, very good support. And we know that supports never die. If he ends up just being, like really only needed for ABX and ABL, then, we'll see. Well, with ABL, he's going to have his tier 3 or transcended. So we'll remains to be seen if he's going to be getting that, right? He does have snare paralysis. He's got a nice 50% all attack buff. He does have accumulation, which is great. That's actually built into his kit. So that I really, really hope, and a nice 25% heal. So I'm really hoping that he gets a nice awakened skill or a tier 3, which would be phenomenal for him. He's even got a nice little damage proc on his 4 skill. He's got invincibility. So he's got a nice looking kit. And then we get into Namor, who is also combat. He's going to be a super villain now, right? And he's got a pretty nice kit, right? Increased cold damage by 30%. So he's going from, he was fire in the last uniform. Now he's going to cold, which actually makes more sense for Namor. Well, not really. I mean, with the Phoenix, it definitely would be fire. But, his ultimate skill, I mean, he's still going to have the accumulation, ignore target dodge rate, all these things, applies to enemies, increase all allies dodge rate and all these things, removes all debuffs. I mean, that could be fairly useful if you're supposed to be switching out your characters. Passive, the super armor is really great. Decreased base damage by 35% is really, really nice. I don't even remember what is in Namor's kit originally because I honestly haven't used him in forever. He's got a critical damage increase by 40%, the guaranteed critical by 30%, and he's still got that nice 30% chance to increase critical damage by 100% on critical attacks, which is always great for him. It's always made him hit super hard. He's got a 20% recovery, which is good. I wish it'd be a little bit better, but Namor was always pretty tanky, so maybe this will be more than enough for him, even at high levels against World Boss Legend. And his 3rd skill, nothing really major there. The 4th skill, nothing really major there. And then the 5th skill has 4 seconds invincibility and a 55% attack buff, which is really, really nice. He does also have snare, which, I mean, could be good for ABL especially. Then we have Shuri, which is a really welcome addition to the roster because, she is a speed superhero, but she has this nice passive, where she increased base damage to supervillains by 55% to all allies. So she's going from 45% to 55%, which is great. And then her decreased base damage received is going from 35% to 40%, which is going to make characters a lot tankier. So she's going to be an insane support, especially on your speed superhero teams, which is awesome, guys. Going to help Black Widow do a little bit better in ABX, which is awesome, and ABL, because they're both speed superheroes. So that's actually really good. The score is actually going to go up a little bit from that. She's got chain hit damage now, which is really great. The ignore target dodge rate is really good. She's got native super armor, which is also awesome. The 1, the 2, the 3. The 3's got nice damage proc by 80%, which is really great. The 4 does give her 40% increase of attack. Then she also has 6/6 of immunity, which is good. I'm glad they kept a lot of that immunity she already had. And then her 5th skill gives her applies a self barrier 5 times. We'll see how that plays out. And then 40% increase of all attacks. She also has shock. Okay. And then we get into Riri, who's a blast superhero. Unfortunately, she's in the blast category, which is not really good, but they did buff up her leadership from 45% to 55%, which is really great. It's really going to make her worth leveling up. Plus, she gives ignore target dodge rate by 25%, increased basic damage dealt to boss types by 35%. So Riri is going to be a must as far as leveling up, especially for blast female superhero teams. She's going to be very, very good. I mean, honestly, guys, getting that ignore target dodge rate, getting the increased basic damage of boss types by 35%, and the energy attack leadership, this is just, yeah, she's going to be, I mean, she's going to be a must for supports. Like, we're really support heavy in this update with Riri and Shuri and M'Baku. So that's, I mean, it's actually really good. You know, anytime you level up characters that buff up other characters, they're always worth it, guys. Their relevance never dies. And then she has guard break immunity, which is terrific. She has chain hit damage. I mean, hopefully she's really good because she's been trashed for so long. And then we get into the 3rd skill, which does have a nice 1.1% accumulation. That is awesome. And then she also can move around with her 4th skill. By the way, Namor can also. I think it's his 3rd skill, which looked awesome in the video that we saw. And then she has 5 seconds of immunity. She also has a nice 50% attack buff, 20% heal. So, I mean, she looks pretty good, guys. I mean, you just never know until you play with the character. But if worse comes to worse, she's going to be an insane support. And then, of course, you know, Shuri's tier 3, which does have a 0.7% accumulation. So she's really going to need that tier 3 in order to be, you know, a lot stronger. But the thing is, guys, you're going to want to level her up anyways because she's going to be a really great support for your teams. And then Namor here is tier 4, increase active buff effect by 20%. This is going to be insane for this character, man. It's going to make him much, much stronger when he hits that tier 4. Wow. And then his chain hit damage goes up by 50%. So, like, Namor is going to be, he's going to hit like a truck, guys. He's going to do a ton of damage, especially when you take a look at his artifact and if you're able to get a hold of that thing. Ironheart, guys, I'm not going to get into the whole awakened skills. I mean, I don't really see anything different or special here. Kind of run-of-the-mill, same old kind of stuff. I'm not seeing the 100% charge rate of accumulation. So yeah, it's just the same old copy and paste stuff that we've seen before. We got legendary battle, which is, you know, really good. You're going to be able to get a CTP of destruction, which is nice. Would have been better if they would have gave us a selector. That would have been awesome. I mean, just a selector for whatever CTP we want. That way people could have picked whatever they wanted, but it's still decent. Here's where you can actually get M'Baku. You can actually get him from just logging in, which is really good. All right, I'm just going to go through here. Then we have the legendary bonus rewards, right, which is definitely nice. And then we scroll down here, and then we get into the Reforged CTPs. Now, we can actually reforge a CTP of refinement. The thing about the refinement, guys, that I'm noticing is that we're getting a lot more characters now that have immunity to guard break built into the kit. I mean, Riri just had it, right? So characters that already have immunity to guard break, this might be a really insane obelisk for them in PvP. Because, I mean, you know, if you're able to, you know, level this thing up, like if it's a mighty, it increases all your attacks by 20%, and it also gives you a recover HP by 15% every second, an additional amount equal to 35% concentration. So the more concentration you have, the more it's going to buff this obelisk. And then this, when it's at a brilliant, you get 39% HP, which is insane. You get a much higher recovery rate, and then you get recovered 30% of HP, right? And recovers HP by 25% every second. Additional amount equals 50% of concentration. So having more concentration is going to be a big deal. So a lot of people, what they're probably going to do is going to set up a separate card setup to where it's going to be built strictly for PvP. But you're still going to want Pierce, guys, for PvP, because if you don't have it, you won't make it. Even if you have a lot of HP, you need Pierce to do a lot more damage a lot faster. It makes a big difference. And then increase all attack by 32%. So characters that have immunity to guard break already built into the kit, or even just super armor for AC, this is going to be a really insane obelisk for them. But it remains to be seen, guys. And then we get into the Reforged Rage, which I think interests more people, to be perfectly honest, because I think more people are more PvE oriented. The Reforged Rage, whenever it's at a mighty, it increases critical damage by 80% regardless of max limit. So you can literally have, max is 200%, you can literally have 280% critical damage. That's a lot. That means these characters with these rages are going to hit a lot harder. And look what else we have here. And regardless of the max limit, an additional amount equal to 40% of concentration. So again, when you have more concentration, it's going to help a lot. It's a weird thing. So I guess you might have to find the right balance between Pierce and concentration. But if you're pushing World Boss Legend, right, I mean, you're going to need a lot of Pierce. And then it gives increased all attack by 20%. So that's another, it's one of these two things, right? Which is nice. And then we get into the Brilliant, which, I mean, guys, this is crazy. So this thing increases 1.1% basic damage per 1% of dodge rate and critical rate, regardless of guaranteed dodge rate and guaranteed critical rate. Ignore boss damage decreased by 65%. So instead of 60, it goes up to 65%, which will make a little bit of a difference. But this here increased critical damage by 130%. So you literally can have 330% critical damage. And then, regardless of the max limit, an additional amount equal to 60% of concentration. So again, having more concentration will help a lot. This is, guys, this obelisk, I'm not going to lie to you guys. Whenever Black Friday comes up, I'm hoping to God that in the event that we're going to have, we're going to be able to get this. And I'll probably wail out and I'll probably try to get it. I really want to get a Brilliant, mainly for a Hulk. That's pretty much why I want it, especially after him, going to be getting nerfed in this update. Again, I don't know how much of a nerf he's going to get, but you guys know he's my man. I want to make him as strong as possible. And yeah, and if I can do better, and I mean, in ABL right now, I can get around 6.2 million with my Hog. In ABX, I get near 10 million. So maybe with this obelisk, maybe he could cap, but I doubt it. But I mean, you never know. If he can, then that'll be pretty sweet, right? I know some of you are thinking, well, wait a minute, bro, you got Namor. I know, but I already got a tier 4 Hawk. So I kind of like to save my resources for a different combat because we already got a ton of combat tier 4s. I mean, I love Namor, but eh. And then comic card deck added. Now, it costs 1,000 crystals in order to add another comic card deck. And here's what I like about this, guys. Here's what I like about this, okay? These two cards decks do not stack on top of each other, okay? You can only use one at a time, all right? So your original card deck that you have, you always have it applied, but you can always switch it and then switch to the other card deck. The reason that I like this is because I'm a content creator. I can literally set up some plain Jane cards with no Pierce and show how strong a character actually is in World Boss Legends without the Pierce. Even in ABX, right? I can show the difference. We can actually look at the difference. If I have a card set that has my energy and physical attack close to what I have right now, it can give us an idea of what the difference really is with the amount of Pierce that you have, or at least the amount of Pierce I have. And that I like. I also like that if I want to build a setup for, say, the Hulk, and I want to have a bunch of HP, right? That's nice. Because, I mean, honestly, guys, like veteran players, we're getting an abundance of cards, and this is a nice addition. And this also means that Netmarble is probably going to add more P cards, right? So what I think a lot of people are probably going to do is they're probably going to set up a PvP setup here, and they're going to set up a PvE setup in the card deck. Now, this screws some players out there because they tried to mix blend their setups. But, I mean, we'll see how that plays out, guys. But personally, I like this. You don't have to do it. You don't have to partake in it. If you're just solid at PvE and you already got your card deck set up, then just play with that. You don't need to set up another one if you don't want to. It's all good. And then we get into the artifacts. Now, in Baku, ignore target dodge rate by 20%. This applies to all allies. So again, his artifact buffs up everybody else and gives them all attack. So like his artifact is really, really great. That thing is nice. And then Namor actually increased base damage of boss types. It only applies to himself, but that's really amazing for him. And it does look like Namor's probably going to hit like an insane truck. He's going to be tier 4, guys. He's going to be crazy strong. And then we have Shuri, who also applies to self-ignore target dodge rate, increase all base attack. Really great for Shuri, but I don't think it's going to be a real big need because I feel like she's probably just going to end up being a big support, but we'll see. And then we have Ironheart, who increases basic damage of the enemies with 50% HP or higher by 25%. That's a pretty big buff, but again, I think she's going to end up being a support, so I don't think her artifact's really going to be super relevant for most players. And then we get into Moon Girl, who actually applies to self increase. I mean, honestly, guys, this is trash because Moon Girl is going to still have her old uniform, so it really doesn't even matter. And then we get in the future pass rewards. We got the special icon for Mystique. Hopefully Mystique will get a uniform soon. That would be pretty damn lit. I mean, I like the blowing the kiss thing. That is sweet. Namor looks stoic right here. I mean, I like the blast with Riri. That's pretty cool. Human Torch looking sweet, right? Don't care about uniforms. I mean, I don't think anybody really cares about that. And then some other little changes that we have here. And then, of course, you know, the fact that Hulk's going to get nerfed, which I am definitely not excited about. And it looks like, you know, people are kind of like split on this update. You know, it seems like, you know, half the people are a little upset, half the people aren't. And that's probably because of the Reforged rage. I think that's probably a big part of it. Maybe even the new card deck might be upsetting people. But honestly, guys, the new card deck isn't a big deal. Again, is it really going to change anything for you? Right? I mean, whales, I mean, they'll go out and they'll have those, you know, nice HP setups for PvP, but I don't know. I mean, from my perspective, guys, I'm not too worried about it at all. And I like it because I can actually use it to test characters in a more realistic card set instead of having, because most players don't have 20+% Pierce on their account. They just don't have those kind of setups. So when you guys are seeing these level 90+ clears against World Boss Legend, it's on accounts that have over 20% Pierce, right? And it doesn't seem realistic for you. So that's kind of going to be my goal, at least in the beginning. Maybe later on, I'll try to set up some card sets. But I'm going to try to set up a card set much smarter than I did my first time in my roster. But all in all, guys, I really like the update. I'm praying to God M'Baku gets a tier 3 or transcends his skill in the mid-month. And also, T'Challa gets some love. And I honestly, guys, if they don't give T'Challa love, that would be just absolutely ridiculous. And that is something else to keep in mind, guys, that he is a combat. And more than likely, they'll give him a tier 4. So we got another 2 tier 4 combat characters. So you might want to hold off on Namor if you're a T'Challa fan to see if they're going to actually buff him up. If they don't, that would be a travesty. That would be an absolute travesty. So guys, let me know how you're all feeling about this update. And I do stream on Twitch at 9 p.m. G2+7 time. The link is in the description below. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one. See everybody.